Hey everyone, let's dive right into this explainer. Today we're exploring the incredibly high stakes, meticulously controlled world of pharmaceutical manufacturing operations. You know, whenever you pop a pill out of a blister pack or get an injection, you're trusting a process that is, quite literally, a matter of life and death. So we're heading straight to the factory floor to decode the absolute rigorous discipline required to actually make these medicines safely. Here's the quick roadmap for our batch journey today. First, we'll look at recipe versus reality. Then, the line clearance gate. After that, stop, check, and control, followed by yield and live deviations. And we'll wrap it all up with the final QA release. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, recipe versus reality. So our journey actually starts before a single machine even gets turned on. See, in pharma, you can't just tweak a recipe on the fly like you're baking cookies in your kitchen. It all starts with the paperwork, or the digital equivalent. And the big distinction you need to grasp here is the master batch record versus the batch manufacturing record. Think of the master batch record, or MBR, as the architect's flawless blueprint. It's the strictly QA-approved master recipe. It locks in every single material, the exact equipment, process steps, and yield limits. And it never, ever changes unless it goes through a formal change management process. On the flip side, you have the batch manufacturing record, or BMR. If the MBR is the blueprint, the BMR is the contractor's daily log. It's the unique, real-time documentation generated for one specific batch. This is where operators capture exactly what went down on the floor today, the actual data, any live deviations, and the real human fingerprints of the whole process.
And honestly, it is wild just how much granular data the BMR demands. It is not just a simple checklist, it's practically a comprehensive diary of that drug's creation. The BMR has to meticulously capture absolutely everything. We're talking unique batch numbers, exact material lot numbers, the specific equipment IDs, and the precise times and temperatures of every single process step. It also captures any deviations and the theoretical versus actual yield. But here's the kicker. It requires signatures, both operator and QA signatures. In the eyes of an auditor, if a step is missing a signature, it literally did not happen, period. Unrecorded data on this document is one of the most frequent and dangerous audit risks out there.
Moving right along to Section 2, the line clearance gate. Now, before that freshly issued BMR can even be used to start a batch, we hit our first massive operational checkpoint. You've got your paperwork, your materials are staged, but you absolutely cannot just walk up to the machine and hit start. First, you have to pass through the line clearance gate. Think of this as the ultimate manufacturing reset button. It's how we guarantee, with zero doubt, that there is no cross-contamination from whatever drug was running on that equipment the day before. Imagine a facility making a highly potent heart med one week and an over-the-counter painkiller the next. Line clearance is the non-negotiable physical barrier stopping the old batch from tainting the new one. Building this physical wall of safety requires a super methodical sequence. Operators have to step through very rigid protocols. First up, completely remove all materials from the previous batch. Get them out of there. Next, clean the equipment perfectly per standard operating procedures, and verify that cleaning. Then, and this is absolutely crucial, remove any old labels. Rogue labels are actually a massive source of product recalls. Only after all that can you stage the correct new materials, verify your equipment is calibrated, and lock it all in. And locking it in requires a two-person independent sign-off. That's two separate sets of eyes legally certifying that the room is 100% clear and ready.
That brings us to Section 3, stop, check, and control.
Okay, so once the line is cleared and production is actually humming along, operators don't just kick back and wait until the end to see if it works. You can't just test quality into a product at the finish line. You have to build it in live. So they perform continuous in-process controls, or IPCs. These are real-time, high-frequency checks of the product's vital stats while the batch is actively running. For tablets, operators are constantly pulling samples to check weight variation, hardness, and friability, which basically ensures your pill won't just crumble into dust inside the bottle. They're checking disintegration times and verifying the active ingredient content. Or, if they're making liquids, they're constantly monitoring fill volumes so nobody gets shortchanged on their dose. They even check the leak integrity of sterile packaging right there on the production floor. And right here is where we find the absolute golden rule of manufacturing. If any of those live IPCs fail, production immediately halts. You stop. There's absolutely no quietly tweaking the machine to make it pass. Let's say your tablet weights start trending a little too heavy. An operator cannot just secretly turn a dial on the press to lower the weight without documenting it. Unrecorded adjustments totally destroy the integrity of the batch.
Instead, you stop the line, flag the IPC failure, and launch a formal investigation before taking another step. Next up is Section 4, Yield and Live Deviations. Now, even with perfect in-process controls and following that golden rule to the letter, reality on a manufacturing floor rarely goes exactly as planned. This brings us to reconciliation, which is basically proving the balance of your materials. You literally have to account for every single gram. Your theoretical yield is what you expect to get out based on the raw materials you put in. Your actual yield is what you physically measure at the very end. And the difference between those two? That's your variance. Now, a tiny bit of variance is expected, right? Like some powder naturally gets stuck to the side of a mixing vessel. But there are strict, predefined acceptance limits. If the actual yield differs significantly from the theoretical yield, that variance is an instant red flag. It triggers a formal investigation. Because, think about it, that missing material might have ended up concentrated in a single highly toxic super pill. Or maybe someone just miscounted. But the point is, you have to know for sure. So, what exactly happens when variances hit or other live deviations occur on the floor? Well, operators execute a rapid crisis management sequence to isolate the problem instantly and loop in quality assurance. First, they detect the departure from the approved process. Second, and this is absolutely key, they stop and physically segregate the affected material so it can't accidentally mix with the good product. Third, they notify quality and production management. Fourth, a rapid assessment happens to gauge the impact on the batch and the schedule. And fifth, a formal documented decision is made. Do we continue? Do we reject the material entirely? Or is there an approved procedure to rework it? And of course, every single piece of this deviation must be captured live on the BMR. Which leads us to our final section, the final QA release. Everything we've talked about today, issuing the master blueprints to the live BMR, the rigorous line clearance, the continuous in-process controls, and the strict mathematical yield reconciliation, it all funnels into this ultimate high-stakes finish line. And get this, batch release is never just an automatic software decision. Even in our highly automated world, the final barrier is a human signature. A named, legally accountable quality professional, usually a qualified person or QA manager, has to review every single element. They verify the BMR is completely filled out and signed. They make sure the QC lab testing met all release specs. They check that absolutely every deviation has been investigated and officially closed out. They review the IPC data and even the environmental monitoring data of the room where the drug was made. Only when all of that is verified does that individual actually sign their name to release the batch. Until that ink is dry, that medicine is not allowed anywhere near a patient. Okay, let's put you in the operator's shoes for a second, with a quick knowledge check. When exactly must line clearance be completed? Is it A, after the next batch starts? B, before any new batch begins? C, when changing product families? Or D, at shift end? Take a second to think back to that physical wall of safety we talked about earlier. If you answered B, spot on, you are officially prepared for the manufacturing floor. Ensuring nothing carries over before a new batch begins is the absolute ultimate safeguard for patient safety. It has to happen before every single new batch, regardless of shift changes or product families. And that wraps up our explainer on manufacturing operations and control. We've seen how the master batch record sets the unbending rules and how the batch manufacturing record captures the messy reality. We've walked through the gates, the controls, and why you always stop the line when things go sideways. So next time you pop a pill, you'll know exactly the kind of intense human oversight it took to get it into your hands safely. But it does make you wonder, as drug manufacturing gets faster and vastly more complex, will human signatures always be enough to guard the gate? Or is an AI takeover of QA release just inevitable? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.